This is the improbable story of a young street tough who was given too much room to roam. So much room that he managed to fight his way to the top, from local hard man in a gritty hood to his country's biggest gangster. The mob reporter here with the colorful roller coaster life of an outlaw, a man they call the Iceman, whose gangland firm was built on pills, dope and coke in drug-hungry Scotland. He reached the top after being named the only real suspect in the murder of his gang's boss, who also happened to be the best man at his wedding. The Iceman indeed. Let me tell you about it. Jamie Stevenson has the scars, he has the wanted posters, the thick police files and prison record, and even the bold headlines, all proving his outlaw status. But only recently, his place in Scotland's hectic underworld has been undone, stumbling just as he was pulling off a gangland masterstroke. Stevenson grew up in the hard-scrabble north of Glasgow, Scotland's largest city, where he built his reputation as a hard man in a hard neighbourhood. This was in the 1980s, which were troubled times for Glasgow, which often means good times for gangsters. Stevenson smartly hooked up with a crime group called the McGovern clan, built around 5 McGovern brothers. He first was their muscle and then a drug runner between Glasgow and Liverpool. Their gang grew in influence and power in the 1990s as a heroin epidemic hit Scotland's cities hard. The McGovern's criminal authority in their turf was so strong that they were called the McGovernment. What a great catchphrase. Stevenson's growing place in their operation became clear in 1992 when he was asked to be the best man at Tony McGovern's wedding, one of the top McGovern bosses. Tony McGovern returned the favor at Stevenson's wedding a few years later. Now, it can be awfully hard for ambitious, greedy men to remain friends, and within 2 years of Stevenson's wedding, these two former best pals were allegedly trying to kill each other. Tony McGovern's ambush plot for Stevenson failed, and soon after, in 2000, McGovern was shot dead as he sat in his black Audi, wearing a Kevlar vest. No one has been convicted for the murder, but most who watched the street, on both sides of the law, could see no suspect other than Jamie Stevenson. Stevenson then led the charge to flood Scotland's streets with drugs. That was his real talent. He began splitting his time between Glasgow and Amsterdam, where police suspected importation deals were being cut. Stevenson and several of his colleagues had their homes and phones wired up in a 3-year probe. Police listened in as drug money was moving back and forth in bags of cash. A police tale on Stevenson caught him going to see a psychiatrist, which led to him being dubbed Scotland's Tony Soprano, after the TV mobster who famously visits a shrink to help him deal with stress.
They said it was a panic attack because all the blood work and the neurological work came back negative. And they sent me here.
The police investigation ended with Stevenson's arrest in 2006 and his conviction a year later. He was sentenced to more than 12 years imprisonment. It was his first big stumble. The justice system being what the justice system is. He was back on the street in just 6 years, and he picked up where he left off. This time he allegedly partnered with 2 other brothers from a Glasgow suburb named James and Barry Gillespie. These Scottish gangsters pushed their way to the next level as drug barons by making direct contacts with drug suppliers in South America. Their international travel was helped by having bogus, genuine British passports. By that I mean they were real UK passports, but ones that had been fraudulently issued using photographs of the gangsters, but in the names of other non-notorious British citizens. Jamie Stevenson, Barry Gillespie, and others in their orbit all bought one of these from the same crooked passport ring. Do you remember these 3 geezers? I told you about this passport ring last year, that I'll link to at the end. The Gillespie brothers left Scotland for Brazil around 2018, presumably to arrange direct buys of cocaine from cartel sources. But they disappeared soon after. They've not been heard from since. While some think they're in deep hiding, police have told their families they believe the pair were killed. Stevenson didn't miss a step though, even as unseen cracks were forming all around him. The hundreds of hours of embarrassing wiretaps police recorded in the 2006 case against him had made an impression on the Iceman. He wanted to tighten up. He turned to the latest underworld fad for crime bosses. He bought EncroChat phones for him and his gang. EncroChat, as we know now, is the notorious secret messaging system that boasted of ironclad privacy, which it did have, for a bit, until French, Dutch, and Belgian police cracked it and started intercepting every message, every photo, every emoji gangsters sent using the handsets all over the world. Stevenson was so confident in the privacy of the phones, he actually used it to send someone a photograph of his driver's license. On EncroChat, Jamie Stevenson had two usernames. His handles were Elusive Ale and Big Tasty. By 2020, Stevenson had launched at least two massive gangland plots. One of them was a commercial-scale pill factory set up in the historic English town of Rochester, in Kent, about 30 miles east of London. It was a huge operation, churning out tens of millions of bootleg and Tizolam pills. Nicknamed Street Valium, they're like benzodepressants. This was at a time when overdose deaths linked to the pills were at record highs in Scotland. Stevenson's other plot was even more ambitious. It was to be his masterstroke, smuggling a 1-ton load of bulk cocaine into Britain direct from South America. He planned to sell it in Scotland at such a markup, his men were told in the encrypted chat their profits would be life-changing. He'd be Scotland's cocaine king. Stevenson gave an EncroChat phone to one of his men who were supervising his affairs, Lloyd Cross, who used the handle Shaggy Goat. And he gave another EncroChat handset to a fruit merchant, one that he had corrupted to help with the importation. The grocer's name is David Bilsland, but on EncroChat his handle was Trendy Mutant. That's a bit strange for a man well into his 60s. Stevenson needed Bilsland because the grocer owned a Glasgow produce company. Bilsland had registered Glasgow Fruit Market in 2013. Stevenson, it turned out, was funding the grocer's operation of late to establish a pattern of importation of bananas from South America to make their banana orders seem legitimate. You can see Bilsland's company in operation here. He did all the paperwork and talking with shipping lines and port authorities. But the businessman's sudden mixing with criminal figures attracted attention, and then suspicion. For starters, his business plan made little economic sense. Only large supermarkets and chains can make a worthwhile profit importing large loads of bananas. When police learned Bilsland was leaving for a one-day trip to Spain, on Valentine's Day 2020, they asked Spanish police to follow him once he landed to see who he was meeting. The Spaniards secretly photographed the grocer's rendezvous at the well-appointed Melilla Alicante Hotel on the city of Alicante's waterfront. When the photos were sent to Scotland, it sent off all kinds of alarms. Police there instantly recognized the man sitting with the grocer. It was one of Scotland's most notorious gangsters, Jamie the Iceman Stevenson. If Stevenson was trying to keep his relationship with his crooked banana man off the radar by meeting in Spain, then he slipped up. Look at the picture the Spanish police took. That's Stevenson, sitting in the black t-shirt in the open, looking tanned and relaxed. Now look at the front of the hotel, as seen from the street. I think they held their secret meeting in the hotel's lobby bar. Looking at these white rounded chairs and the dark circular tables in the lobby bar, their meeting might have been right here. It might have been among the easiest covert operations Spanish police have had. Once the Iceman was identified as the man with the plan, it put the banana plot in a whole new light. It became a top priority for Scottish police working with Britain's National Crime Agency. They launched a large police probe, codenamed Operation Pepperoni. The police probe would soon get an unexpected boost. It is to Stevenson's great misfortune that he was plotting the pinnacle of his underworld success just at the time when European police landed a milestone penetration of the global criminal elites. It was April 2020 when a team of European police did the impossible. They found a way to hack into the EncroChat phones being used by thousands of gangsters around the world, including those used by Stevenson and his gang. On June 12, 2020, 4 months after the Valentine's Day meeting in Spain, police raided the pill factory. It was jaw-dropping in its size and efficiency. You see the space they had, the machinery, the packaging, all here. Investigators said they found 28 million pills. About the same time, there was a different scene with very different scenery playing out some 450 miles north, back in Scotland. That same day, police in Scotland moved to arrest Jamie Stevenson. The Iceman was at a castle hotel on a hill in Glasgow. He was having a mid-pandemic meeting outdoors, at a table in these pleasant hotel grounds. When the cagey gangster spotted a convoy of cars arriving, he bolted, apparently thinking it was a gangland hit. He stumbled on the steep downward slopes and was apparently relieved to see they were coppers after him, not criminal rivals. Handcuffs beat bullets every time, especially when he has lawyers able to get him released on bail, which, incredibly, they did, and he took that opportunity to flee. The Iceman skated away. Something else happened on that day that I just can't get out of my mind. On the day of his hotel arrest, Stevenson left his EncroChat phone behind when he dashed, and after Stevenson's arrest, his stepson, Jerry Carbon, who Stevenson had put in charge of the pill factory, tried to erase his boss's EncroChat phone. There is a bizarre issue of timing. On the very night after the raid and Stevenson's arrest, and after his EncroChat phone was seized, an emergency alert was pushed out by EncroChat to all of its users around the world. Quote, "We can no longer guarantee the security of your device," it warned, telling customers to power off and physically dispose of your device immediately. Now, I explained how that EncroChat leak came about in a previous video that I'll link to at the end, but Stevenson's name wasn't connected to it, but the timing is remarkable. Meanwhile, as Stevenson remained a fugitive after jumping bail, border agents kept quietly searching every banana shipment Billsland ordered as it arrived at a British port. Over months, they searched through 17 large shipments of bananas, all sent from South America and addressed to Billsland's company, and each time they found only bananas. Then, in late September 2020, 3 months after the pill factory raid, another consignment of bananas arrived at the port of Dover. This one came from Ecuador and was also addressed to Billsland's Glasgow fruit market. Finally, border agents found what they suspected was coming. Hidden inside the banana boxes were bricks of cocaine, a lot of them. It took 3 days for authorities to sift through and extract 119 foil-wrapped packages that contained 8 bricks each. Police counted 952 kilos of high-grade cocaine. British authorities valued the seized cocaine at around 100 million pounds sterling, which is about 126 million US dollars. That valuation, however, was reduced to 76 million pounds sterling. That's about 96 million US dollars when evidence was presented in court. Police knew it was Stevenson's coke, but he remained a fugitive in parts unknown. In January 2022, Stevenson was publicly named as one of Britain's most wanted men,
James Stevenson,
who police believed was hiding in Spain. A month later, police caught him. He wasn't in Spain, but in another old haunt, the Netherlands. He was arrested there while he was out jogging with another fugitive from Scotland, Dean Ferguson, who was wanted for murder. Jamie Stevenson had nowhere to hide this time. The boss and 5 of his henchmen faced trial in Glasgow in August 2024 for both of the Iceman's major plots, the pills and the coke. 6 days into the trial, as incriminating evidence mounted, Stevenson asked to change his plea. He agreed to plead guilty to directing others to import and supply cocaine and to being involved in serious organized crime for the pill factory. All of his gang pleaded guilty. Stevenson, the boss behind all of this mayhem, was sentenced to 20 years. Now 59 years old, the Iceman remained stoic when his sentence was announced in court. But he's now complaining that it's too high, given that his cocaine was hidden in bananas. It is appropriate, I guess, that his sentence is under appeal. Please tap the thanks button to leave me a tip, and give this video a like and leave a comment. That helps juice the algorithm. It's a simple thing that helps me a lot. And please make sure you're subscribed to the Mob Reporter with notifications set to all. Thanks for watching to the end.